couple of months ago, I was pitching an idea to a podcast that I'm a huge fan of, longtime listener, Humans of Martech. Phil Gamache is the person who is in my network on LinkedIn, and I had this great idea that I wanted to talk about. It was ABM related. I've been in the ABM space long enough. I've tried multiple things. Some worked, some didn't. And I reached out to Phil through LinkedIn and said, hey, I would love to come on your podcast and I would love to pitch my idea to you. Knowing that the LinkedIn messaging space is only this big, I figured what's better way of putting it together in an eloquent way than using ChatGPT. And so I did exactly that, gave my prompt, summarized my idea in a nice little window. It all went to Phil, and what I received back sounded like this. Thanks for the episode pitch, said Phil. As a fellow ChatGPT user, I can spot its writing style pretty quickly, haha. I'd love to get to know the real you through those 4 questions I sent over. That will help me understand your unique perspective and experience firsthand. Busted. Didn't feel good. I got called out on cheating, right? We wouldn't think it that way using ChatGPT for many written things today. However, Phil was right. And what that taught me is that using ChatGPT or any other AI tool to replace human intelligence and authenticity is a futile effort. However, it's there to enhance it. And that's the topic of today's session. Hi everyone, I'm Nadia Davis. I lead marketing at CaliberMind, the household name for all things multi-touch attribution and go-to-market intelligence for enterprises. And the world of marketing analytics is very much my home, as much as it is for CaliberMind. I've led revenue marketing teams and marketing operations teams previously in my career, and I'm here to share with you some insights, some inspirational things on how AI can augment human intelligence, not replace it, but augment it within the world of marketing analytics. Let's dive in. Let me start with the other side of the same story, where the notion is that AI is here to replace certain marketing functions. I don't think it's completely true. However, to every joke, there's a portion of the joke and the rest is the truth, as the adage goes, right? So if your marketing team is only messaging in low-cost visuals, chances are you can be replaced. Canva AI is fantastic if you haven't tried it. If you're creating slides for your sales team, and that's pretty much the essence of your go-to-market strategy, then there's Gamma. That can be taken care of as well, even though it may not be always on brand, but it's getting there. It's going to get there pretty quickly. And lastly, if your marketing only does real-time optimization on most likely existing data, AI will soon replace you. Hopefully, none of this is the situation in which you are. However, I wish I knew what I know now back when AI was making its, or actually ChatGPT in this case, was making its grand entry into the democratized, public, easily accessible market where everybody could sign up and start using ChatGPT. I didn't know it then. So like many marketers, and we get excited about things that have a button to push. And once you push that button, some visualization comes on the screen and voila, something happened. And you can take that and put it into the next bucket and, make it part of your process to take something else to the market, right? So I have gone through my 5 stages of grief, riding the AI hype cycle, right? I have worn out my regenerate button in my ChatGPT instance threadbare. I kid you not. With anything that started with LinkedIn copy, list scrubbing, webinar abstract writing, you name it. And then I realized that the reason I pushed that regenerate button is because what comes out sounds extremely inauthentic. It sounds like many other things that I've seen. I started recognizing patterns, just like Phil said, in other people's LinkedIn posts that would start with, let's make it clear, let's be serious, let's get real, right? The emojis, the short sentences. It's like, that was not written by you, that was ChatGPT, but tell me what your real thoughts are. So you almost start craving that imperfection. But what I also didn't know or didn't realize early on, and companies got better about it, started putting out policies in place, is that there are so many things that we have to be aware of as a user of any AI tool or platform, right? That right now, the rules are very murky about. It's GDPR, it's consent, it's copyright. its right to be forgotten, something I would have never thought about. How can I make AI forget me, remove my records from whatever database it has in the background, right? You can do that with Google. You have to jump through hoops, but you cannot do that with AI. At least I wasn't able to when I asked Gemini and ChatGPT to do that, right? I want to make sure that none of the data that I put into whatever instance that is being used to train the model. I want my data to stay mine, right? I want to have control within other systems that use AI, whether or not AI is being deployed on specific, exercises, specific tasks, or specific tactics. Not everybody offers that. And then I realized another thing, which is kind of murky to me at first, is that AI cannot do math. I know, sounds crazy, right? All right, let's try a simple math problem and see how Chat and Gemini solve it. So I want to know what the answer to the problem of 5 plus 10 plus 4 minus 1 divided by 6. Let's see what Chat comes up with. And I've had Chat do this before. It starts with telling you that the order of operations, according to all the rules of math, should be as if I had parentheses around 1 and 6. Okay, this is not the answer that I wanted, but this is a framework that it's referencing that exists out there that helps Chat reason. This is not the logic what we wanted. In the natural language, we just follow the order of operations in which the numbers appear, right? Okay, let's do the same thing. So I already ran Gemini, okay? And Gemini followed the same logic. It had to have a framework that it was falling back on, which Chat here referenced. It's this PEMDAS, right? Order of operations framework. But that's not what my intention was. The answer to whether AI can do math or not is no, until you give it the framework which it should utilize. Well, I hope that convinced you that you would not send your middle schooler or high schooler to ChatGPT or Gemini to do math or algebra or calculus for them. However, there are use cases where AI is quite brilliant and way beyond what you can accomplish yourself using traditional tools that in the past we marketers would always resort to. And one of those things is writing code for your landing pages or creating widgets with either CSS or HTML or Java or whatever it is you need to add additional engagement modules to your website. And one of those modules is right here in front of you on the screen. A couple of weeks ago, I received a newsletter from Carol Dietrich that was talking about maturity models being all the rage for marketing engagement. You can create this maturity model, some kind of assessment on your website, whatever belongs in your world of expertise, and you can drive users to take that assessment and either fill out a form at the end or just, spend some time on your website. And I got really excited. I had an assessment for marketing analytics maturity, which was very much in depth, very well thought out questionnaire with scoring logic. I mean, it was a complex Excel document with multiple tabs that I wanted to turn into an easy to use questionnaire for people to come to the website and just see where they are on the analytics maturity curve, right? I saw some people having maturity models on their website within my network. So I reached out to none other but Sangram Vajra. And I said, Sangram, I love the model that you have, this maturity assessment. Is it custom or did you guys use a tool for it? And I was secretly hoping that he would tell me that he was using a tool. He said, no, it's custom. Thinking, man, I don't really have the time to deal with web dev. I don't have the resources. How can I get my Excel spreadsheet with this assessment into a widget on the website that people can engage with? I was able to do that with Gemini by prompting it to take this assessment and turn it into a calculator, giving it the parameters of what I wanted the output to be. And then once it gave me that code with minimal human involvement to get it over the finish line, to be on brand with the right colors, with the right padding, what you see on the screen right now, and that QR code, by the way, will allow you to get to that page and just experience that calculator. It allowed me to get there within a matter of a couple of days. So using AI for code generation, for your landing pages, for building landing pages is absolutely one of those enhancement techniques that can save you time and do it faster, better, and in a lot of cases cheaper than what you could do otherwise. If you want the prompt, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll share the prompt. Another interesting example of how you can enhance human intelligence with AI within the world of analytics is turning your two-dimensional reports into 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, or even 5D reports. The sky is the limit when it comes to extracting marketing insights from large volumes of data. The truth about 2-dimensional reports, and in this case, we live in the world of marketing attribution, right? So here's your attribution report: attribution by channel, attribution by campaign, attribution by opportunity, you name it. But it's always a 2-dimensional report because that's how we can visualize these things, right? And you might need 2, 3, 4, 5 reports to really tell the story from different angles. But you don't know how you want to visualize those reports or what questions to even ask because you don't know what's available. So one of the coolest things that our users always come back and rave to us about is their ability to ask questions to their data through what we call Ask Hal, but it's an AI assistant, right? It looks at all of your data, and you can do that in multiple other places. And when you say, what questions can I ask of this data? It gives you options. It says, you can ask, which segment within my market performs the best within this channel? Which campaigns drive the most revenue for this segment? Which campaigns or what type of engagement or what segment is most affected by seasonality when it comes to their engagement? And the sky is really the limit. But this is where you can start ideating and asking questions that otherwise you would not have been able to get the answer to out of that big pile of data that exists within the world of marketing. However, to benefit from this, here's what you need to understand. And if you came through, to marketing leadership through the lines of marketing operations or maybe marketing analytics, or demand gen or performance marketing, you may be closer to this side of like what's under the hood when it comes to tooling versus say if you came through PR and communications and product marketing or maybe brand. And that's what I'm here to tell you, something that you have to pay attention to. In a lot of cases, it's easier for us to use AI opposed to feeding spreadsheets into ChatGPT. First of all, don't do that with lists. Don't feed your Salesforce schemas into ChatGPT. It's just best practices, right? And second, you can never bring all that data together. So that's why the tools exist to help you with that. And when it comes to the build under the hood, this is what you need to know. In order for these large language models, which I remember they're models, to work and give you the insights that are trustworthy, credible, and you can put your reputation on the line reporting on those insights, you have to make sure that there's data structure, that data is modeled, that data is engineered, that AI is looking for those relationships and patterns within, right? So knowing that you have a data warehouse under the hood within the tool that's giving you those AI insights is extremely important. What is a data warehouse? This is the repository of data that can deal with structured and semi-structured data. It's all the systems that you connect. Salesforce, for example, is your typical structured data. Stuff that comes from, say, your ABM platform via JSON, that may be semi-structured data because it has additional elements that may not fold cleanly into your Salesforce structure. And this is why it's so hard to bring that ABM data into Salesforce. They have data consistency. They will always match the total that you have in your control field, for example, in Salesforce when it comes to, in our case, attribution of marketing contribution towards opportunities, right? You will never be in a scenario where you are reporting on marketing contribution, saying marketing generated $1 million of pipe over the month of April. The salesperson would stand up and say, no, we only show 500,000 of pipe. Where is that coming from? You don't want to be in that situation because in this case, you're double counting, and having this data warehouse structure on the back end of these tools prevents you from dealing with the scenario that I just described. However, if you are working with a tool that has a monolithic database on the back end, which kind of the world where data independently lives, not connected to any relational databases, not necessarily looking at your Salesforce for insights, right? It may have structural inconsistencies. You will deal with the situations where total is different. What does AI have to do with this anyways? Well, it has to do everything with it because when you ask for insights, for AI to look at this data, if the AI does not recognize a structure, if it does not have a clear pattern, because remember, large language models are trained on patterns, what you get back could be as inconsistent as the timing of the day when you're running these reports, right? And this is very much the scenario that we've heard from our, customers or people that we talk to, that marketing leaders find themselves in this argumentative situation, coming up against sales, fighting about which is the true number of what marketing contributed towards moving the needle for the business. So understanding the build or the how data resides within whatever tool that allows you to have that AI layer for querying the data and asking questions is extremely, extremely important in this scenario. Another exciting use case that I will share with you is actually the one that we've been talking about as marketers for a long time. It's bridging the gap between marketing and sales, right? And usually, and I've been a chief offender of this rule of thumb, sales don't want a pile of data to be delivered to them. They want insights. That's very true with account-based marketing, where, in early days, marketing would throw all of these MQAs or 6QAs over to the sales team and say, hey, go after these accounts. And the sales team would be like, who do I contact? What did they do? They want to understand the buyer's journey. They want to understand all the touch points, right? And AI helps bridge that gap by putting together these generative summaries of all the things that your accounts did, not just in your ABM platform, not just within the world of the digital space, on the internet, but actually anywhere where you're collecting the data from, offline, webinars, events, dinners, whatever that data tells you, wherever that exists, whether it's structured or unstructured, you can help AI with putting together a buyer's journey that informs the sales team. What did this specific account do in particular to get to the point where the sales team needs to look at it? And in the past, I used to do these things manually. We used to create what we called anatomy of a buyer. So that would be a storytelling, like a slide or 2 slides, where we would show this path. We would manually look for these touch points of where this journey started. Oh, we talked to this account 2 years ago at such and such event. Or, hey, there was a note in Salesforce that a salesperson talked to someone from this account, and now, this person is a part of the buying group. It takes forever. It's really tedious. And again, better, cheaper, faster, AI is here to do that for you. You can prioritize accounts based on their engagement. Again, multiple touch points across offline, online. AI can help you weed out the noise and give you those accounts that you should pay attention to, and maybe deliver them right into your Salesforce instance where you don't have to worry about salespeople clicking in multiple places. Buying group insights is another thing that is so instrumental and valuable of how marketing delivers insights to the sales team. You can tell people who are the names of the top engaged people and what did those people do, so that the sales team has talking points to break into that account. And lastly, you can even go as far as having AI to look at all of the previous interactions through email, phone calls, whatever, with your sales team, and then extract insights on what worked for the opportunities that closed and apply that reasoning towards making suggestions for your sales team, what next steps might work in this specific scenario based on, the profile of the account, similarities with previous deals, multiple variety of things. It's actually exciting times. So you as a marketing team are seen as a strategic contributor and enabler, never, the finger pointer, so that the sales team can get to accounts faster, can close them at a higher rate, and actually think of you as a team member and a team player, as opposed to somebody on the other side of the fence. And lastly, there's this interesting notion that is brewing in the world of marketing. With all of these things that AI can do, will marketing analytics ever be autonomous? This idea of self-driving marketing, I came across that. It was very interesting to me. Whether or not once you kind of connect all the data sources, all of this starts working on its own and you don't have to pay attention to that. I think this will depend on whether or not you can, with 100% confidence, say that you have trust in the data and how it comes in, and it's been cleansed, deduped, modeled, aggregated, it's getting QA'd or being QA'd at all times. Maybe that's what AI agents will do for us. And you want to make sure it's never a black box. So if you wanted to peel back the layers, you could see exactly why certain things were reasoned on the way they were reasoned on. It would also depend on whether or not we can eliminate marketing data silos, whether all these marketing tools that are coming to market every single day by a dozen, probably more, whether all of those can be easily integrated with that central data warehouse depository. And you can model this data and create rules where you predict in which format the data comes in and create rules for it, so that AI, being the model that looks for patterns in relationships, can recognize those and not have any hallucination or false confidence or bias because that data was not looked at prior to the output got delivered. And here's this one thing when it comes to trust and confidence in your data. It takes a while to build it with the other business stakeholders. It takes a while to get credibility with a sales team where they look at your stuff, they look at their system of record, most likely Salesforce, and they say, yep, that matches. But it only takes one instance where the reporting is so off, where they're saying, you know what, it's yet another tool, doesn't work. So we want to be mindful of all of these things before we put everything on autopilot. But eventually, hopefully, we will get to the state where these things are resolved in a confident and trustworthy manner. And I want to leave you with this. Your analytics should tell a story, not start a debate. We talked about trust. We talked about things that have to match. We talked about enablement and democratization of access to insights, where AI can be that one key player. And it can help unearth the story that you want to tell as a marketing leader. All those things that happen without anybody even seeing how they happen, that AI can extract and help you visualize for the other business stakeholders. But it is the human intellect that is needed to recognize where is that story, to tell it accordingly, and to get people engaged, convinced, and converted that marketing is here to be a strategic player and make a difference for the business. Thank you so much. If you guys want to connect with me on LinkedIn, receive a copy of this presentation or the prompt that I mentioned for the online widget for your maturity model or for your assessment, find me. I'll be happy to share.